You're listening to the Cool CLE Show.
I'm Jay, host of the Cool CLE Show, brought to you by CoolCleveland.com, putting you in touch with cool events, people, news, and neighborhoods in the Cleveland region. Mod is a subculture that began in London in 1958 and spread throughout the UK, eventually influencing fashions and trends in other countries. The music, pivotal to the scene, was a delivery of sounds that created the blueprint for culture from bands such as the Kinks, the Small Faces, the Who, and so many more. Northern Soul was, and still is, a music and dance subculture that emerged in the north of England in the late 1960s, and initially an offshoot of the British mod scene. We'll learn more about the music, the history, and the culture with two British DJs that are bringing it to Cleveland via mod, Northern Soul, funk, and ska music and dance nights. The Resurrection Soul Club Dance Nights are hosted on the last Friday of every month, with the next on March 29th at the 5 o'clock Lounge in Lakewood. But first, here's some more events I think should be on your calendar. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is rolling out the red carpet for an exclusive simulcast party presented by PNC Bank. The museum in Cleveland, Ohio will feature a live broadcast of the 34th Annual Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony on Friday, March 29th. Ticket prices are $75 for the public and $50 for members. During the 9th Annual Monster Drawing Rally on March 30th, spaces on Detroit Avenue will turn artists' private studio practices into a public performance. Over 100 of Cleveland's freshest artists will create new artworks on the spot, and they'll be hung on the walls for purchase at $75 each. It's $10 for admission, and kids under 17 are free. April 1st is the Cleveland Indian home opener. If you aren't lucky enough to watch from Progressive Field, there are plenty of places hosting parties to get you all hyped up for the game, including Wilbert's Food and Music, the Greenhouse Tavern, and Great Lakes Brewing Company. Enjoy amazing gourmet grilled cheese and craft beer for a great cause. 20% off food and drink sales will be donated directly to Mutts in a Rut Rescue at Lakewood, Independence, and Avon locations of Melt Bar and Grill on April 3rd, 10th, and 17th. If you want your money to go to Mutts and Rut Rescue, you'll need a printed or digital flyer, which is available on their Facebook page. Oregon Space Trail of Doom will be releasing their debut album, and they're inviting you to come celebrate at the Happy Dog on Detroit Avenue on March 30th. They'll have special guests Psycho Men and Beach Stov. This is a title track from Beach Stov's latest release called Honeybee. right, there's a new DJ night in Cleveland, British Mod and Northern Soul, led by two authentic, genuine British DJs, Michael Ridley and Alan Otter, and they are with us tonight to talk about their next Resurrection Soul Club dance night. Hi, Michael. Hi, Alan. How are you?
Thank you for having us on. We greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks very much.
All right, so let's start at the beginning. What is a British mod?
Okay, well, the movement which started in the early 60s was young kids what got the fashion sense of the Italian suits and used to hang about in cafes listening to modern jazz. And it just like evolved from there to listen to when the groups came along, like the Small Faces and the Who and the Kinks, and then also hanging out, like going away on weekends to all-nighters, nightclubs, and also having clashes with what they called the rockers, the bikers. This happened for a couple of years in the early 60s. And then towards the end of the 60s, the mod movement died off. They went into different groups, like the skinheads, and also they wanted more of the up-tempo music, which then became start of the Northern Soul scene. So that's basically how it started.
So what is Northern Soul then for the British culture?
So Northern Soul really it was a kind of a term that was kind of added on to a lot of the soul music that was coming from the US, and it was hitting the British shores as imports. Now, a lot of the soul that was coming over from the US was generally kind of Motown influenced, very smooth, very soft. But the British sort of soul lovers, or they kind of wanted something different, and they started to hear some kind of more funkier edge, bit more up-tempo soul music. And the term Northern Soul was actually given by, I believe, a record store in London, in Covent Garden, really to differentiate that specific subgenre of soul music that applied or was liked by people from the north. Okay,
right.
So the term became Northern Soul. So anything funkier, more up tempo, more edgy was called Northern Soul, and all the smooth stuff was called soul.
Right. Okay. So it's not British. Well, British mod music was obviously like some of the bands that Alan quoted were, quintessentially British. But the Northern Soul music was actually American. It was these sort of soul tracks, Motown tracks that the British kids kind of got their hands on. It was different for them, I guess. But
right.
It coined the term Northern Soul so are you both from the north of England?
So I'm actually from Newcastle, which is the northeast of England.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm from a place called, it's about actually the northern section of England, which is a place called Sheffield in Yorkshire, which is more central. Nice. So, like I say, I mean, as far as the influence of all the bands from the 60s, which came out of that period and that era. So, yes, we are northern people.
So we started out with the mods, and they sort of evolved, and the Northern Soul sort of took place. How did this Northern Soul influence British culture, like with the fashion and the dance? I'm particularly interested in.
So that's a really good one, because typically when you see original Northern Soul dancers, there was a lot of big clubs back in the day, think places like Twisted Wheel in Manchester, which was kind of the big first super club for Northern Soul music. There was the Torch in Stoke-on-Trent. There was big Twisted Wheel in Manchester was kind of the big one. And what would happen is these were like all-nighter kind of events. And with Northern Soul music, it's actually very energetic in terms of dancing, style-wise. People tend to say it's almost like a mix of karate and break dancing and spinning and footwork and everything. But when you see like clips of like Twisted Reel and Wigan Casino and everything else, and you watch them dance, it's unbelievably energetic. And that's because of the up-tempo nature of the music. It kind of pushes people on. It gives people kind of energy, and it just kind of it's echoed through that dance style. And then the fashion is another thing, because with that sort of style of dancing, energetic, high kicks, spins, they tend to wear kind of like looser sort of wide pants and shoes that they can sort of spin on, with talcum powder on the floor, and vests, because they're going to get hot and sweaty, and so that was the kind of the dress that people would generally wear, at these events.
All right, so how did you guys decide that Cleveland needed a little bit of Northern Soul?
That's a good question. So because Alan and I are British, obviously we met through a mutual friend at I think it was, Alan, correct me if I'm wrong, it was a Noel Gallagher concert. I think it was. So obviously we were introduced, and then I was like, oh wow, another British guy in his family. And I kind of looked at Alan. He was wearing the mod stuff, and I'm like, cool, another fellow Brit in Cleveland. So obviously, I think after that we attended a few more gigs, and then we kept in touch. And then I didn't realize that Alan was like crazy about music, like I am. So we kept the relationship going. We talked about music, and then I think one evening somewhere, maybe over a beer, it was like, hey, where are there any venues in Cleveland that play modern Northern Soul? And then obviously Alan has been here longer than I have in the US. I've been here almost 7 years. Alan, you've been here a lot longer.
About 24 years now.
Oh my goodness.
There you go. So Alan knows it better than me. So and I think Alan's had more time to kind of scout out, what's available and what's happening in Cleveland. And from my understanding, there wasn't a great deal. Maybe Alan, I can pass it over to you to kind of elaborate.
Yeah. Well, what happened was, me and my wife, we just wanted somewhere where we could go out, listen to our style of music, and we couldn't find anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened was, we got in touch with Otter Entertainment, and he put the feelers out to see where we can go. And we came across the 5 o'clock lounge in Lakewood. And we came across the owners, and we got talking to them. And I told Michael, I think this is a great place. The bar itself and the location and where we could play was just perfect for us. And they embraced it, 100%. And the people and the bar staff and everybody, they just loved it. And when we started playing there, they were just taken aback by all the genre of the music we played, from 60s, 70s, and more up to date.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll be forever grateful for them at the 5 o'clock lounge.
Yeah.
So that's how it evolved and how we got together. It was just something, instead of listening to the music in the house and being stuck inside, we just wanted to take it out and basically pass the torch of our musical love of that period, and just passing it on and getting a new generation of youngsters, just like what I'm with myself in the early 70s.
Yeah, and so you've got a monthly night at the 5 o'clock lounge. The next one's coming up on March 29th. So what can people expect from a Resurrection Soul Club night?
So basically the way it goes down is it's once a month. It's the last Friday of every month, and it's 5 o'clock lounge, as you mentioned. And we actually have the whole back room. So there's a live room through the bar, okay? And it's a perfect venue because of the size and the kind of vibe in there. It's got a wooden dance floor, it brick walls, it has a lighting system, it has a sound system. And what we do is we have obviously DJ equipment such as turntables, mixers, and all. Alan and I have a lot of original vinyl records that we can play. So it's basically Alan and I playing mod Northern Soul music to a crowd of people who attend the nights. So, at times Alan may kick off with some kind of early mod just to get things going. So we sometimes do things in chronological order. So Alan will kick off with some early mod stuff, build up the tempo, and then, we go through the years until we get to a point where then, at the sort of early 70s, we can then start to kick in the Northern Soul music. But essentially what we're trying to do is, keep the tempo going, keep the energy going, and keep it almost seamless. But what we're doing is we're transitioning from, very early music to sort of late on mod revival music towards the end of the night. So yeah, as I say, it's vinyl only. We're not digital DJs. I think we'd probably do the whole night some disservice if we played, digital from a laptop. So that's not what we're about. We're all about, funky 45s, vinyl, and just whatever we can get our hands on. So, we're mixing, we're doing crazy stuff on the decks, and all to keep the energy going.
It's old school and it's real, people. This is a real DJ music night, and it's cool because you guys on Instagram and stuff. I follow you guys. You sort of spin the records. It's really cool. It's really retro, and like you said, it's just good music. And I think anybody, young or old, would really enjoy it. But be prepared to dance. I mean, if I was going to this, you got to be prepared to dance, right?
That's right. I mean, the whole premise is that we get people in there, and it's a dance environment. It's not there really to to stand at the bar, even though there's a bar next door. We really encourage people to get in there in the room and kind of absorb themselves in the music. It's okay if they want to stand against the sides. It's absolutely fine. We don't judge anybody by their ability to dance. Like some of these amazing Northern Soul dancers. We don't expect that. Even if you just want to move your feet, I mean that's totally acceptable.
Little shimmy.
People haven't seen me on the dance floor, so.
Oh, well, it was great. And I think it's such a fun idea, and it's so novel to bring this genre and this little piece of history to Cleveland. Please check it out. They're on social media, Resurrection Soul Club, and their next British Mod and Northern Soul DJ night is on March 29th at the 5 o'clock lounge in Lakewood from 9 to 2 a.m. Thanks so much, Michael. Thank you, Alan, for coming on the show and telling us about it.
Thank you very much, Jay. Really appreciate it.
Next, we have Chill, a band from the suburbs of Akron. Originally, I had them slated for this episode to support its new 2019 release, but since then, they have suffered a tragic loss with the death of their guitarist, Ian Minnick, at the tender age of 22. Our condolences to the members and the fans of Chill. Here's a track from them called Beautiful Mess.
She sparks a flame in my veins, ties her tongue to my neck. I can't try. She's in her shade, she's the dark that melts away in morning light. And now she's reaching out, thinking of me. I can't believe in anything, and I cannot keep up. If you reach out of my head, leave you when you're fighting. When I've been naked for days, such a beautiful mess. She sparks a flame in my veins.
That was Beautiful Mess from Chill. You can download that and other tracks and merchandise from their website, chillrockband.com. And that's chill with only one L. And that's it for this week. Big thanks to Michael Ridley and Alan Otter of Resurrection Soul Club. Make sure you check out their monthly mod, Northern Soul, Ska, and Funk DJ nights at the 5 o'clock lounge. And big thanks to Beach Stav and Chill for the tunes. You've been listening to the Cool CLE show, brought to you by CoolCleveland.com. Have a good one.